The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark. As Jesus left Jericho with his disciples and a large crowd, Bartimaeus, that is, the son of Timaeus, a blind beggar, was sitting at the side of the road. When he heard that it was Jesus of Nazareth, he began to shout and to say, "Son of David, Jesus, have pity on me." And many of them scolded him and told him to keep quiet. But he only shouted all the louder, "Son of David, have pity on me." Jesus stopped and said, "Call him here." So they called the blind man. "Courage," they said, "get up, he is calling you." So throwing off his cloak, he jumped up and went to Jesus. Then Jesus spoke. "What do you want me to do for you?" "Rabboni," the blind man said to him, "Master, let me see again." Jesus said to him, "Go, your faith has saved you." And immediately his sight returned, and he followed him along the road. The Gospel of the Lord. Well, we're making quite a bit of headway through Mark's Gospel. Now we're towards the end of chapter 10. There are only 16 chapters in Mark's Gospel. It's quite short. So we're now getting towards Jesus' approach to Jerusalem. Earlier he'd been on his mission in Galilee, then going further up from Galilee into Tyre and Sidon, the Decapolis region, and then working his way down towards Jerusalem. And so this episode took place in Jericho. So Jericho is near the River Jordan, but quite far down, almost at the Red Sea, the Dead Sea, which is the lowest place on earth. And from there, he's going to make his way up in the next few chapters that we're going to read to Jerusalem, where eventually, obviously, he'll be crucified and then rise again. So he's come down 50 miles from Nazareth, from Galilee up there, on his mission. And clearly he's accumulated quite a crowd of followers. St. Mark tells us that Jesus left Jericho with his disciples and a very large crowd. So these people had been following him. They were interested in him. But the one we're particularly interested in is Bartimaeus, the name which means son of Timaeus. And he's blind and a beggar. And he calls out to Jesus. He says, "Have pity on me." Well, the words in Greek are eleison me. We all know that word, don't we? We said it about 10 minutes ago. Eleison means have mercy. That's one of the oldest bits of the liturgy that we have of the Mass. It's not Latin, it's Greek. So it's very, very early on, and we have these wonderful words, Kyrie eleison, Christe eleison, Kyrie eleison. Lord have mercy, Christ have mercy, Lord have mercy. And that's sort of very much part of the liturgy. So what does all this mean? The translation that we had take pity on me, have pity on me. There are two sides to mercy, really, when we think about it. There's the person who asks for mercy. I plead for God's mercy. And then there's God, Jesus in this case, showing mercy. So what's all this mercy about? The blind man knew his state. He was blind, he had to beg. There was no social security in his day. So he really had to live from day to day on the generosity, the charity of the people around him. And by the sounds of it, they weren't particularly charitable when they said, well, shut up, we don't want you. Leave Jesus alone. He's for us. We're his followers. That was kind of their attitude towards him, it seems. But no, he realized he needed Jesus. He needed something. He needed healing. And so he called out, "Eleison me, have mercy on me." He needed deep down a wound so that he could live properly. Perhaps it's the same for us. We can say, well, maybe we're not blind, maybe we're not being reduced to a beggar, but there's something in us that's not whole. It's not right, it's not complete. That might be a physical ailment, whatever, and it's good to pray for healing for our physical ailments or mental ailments. But most important, we pray for the healing of our soul, the whole person, so that we can be whole, stand upright before God, as it were. So we too ask for mercy from God. We cry out like Bartimaeus, "Eleison me, have mercy on me." That's what we're saying at the beginning of Mass. When we say, "Lord, have mercy," "Christ, have mercy," "Lord, have mercy." We've sinned. We want forgiveness. We want to be made whole. And the ultimate purpose of being made whole, of course, is what happened with Bartimaeus. Jesus healed him with such ease. He just said, "Your faith has saved you." And then he could see. And then he followed Jesus along the road. So, of course, the result of mercy that we receive from God is to be intimate followers of Jesus, to grow closer to him, to be interested in him, to learn more about him so that we can love him the better. The other person then, as I say, in mercy, is God himself. And what does he do when he shows mercy? He shows love. We think of St. Faustina and Jesus revealing himself as the divine mercy. He said that the other name of mercy is love. And when we experience God's mercy towards us, making us whole, we're experiencing that love of God. It's like that wonderful embrace, a big hug from God, and saying, it's all sorted. It's all made new. And then he draws us to follow him. So today we thank God for this wonderful gift of his mercy. It's there for the giving. But when we think of that crowd who were trying to push Bartimaeus away, clearly there were many people who were following Jesus who didn't see that as particularly important. There was an interest in him and so on. And then it's for us then to say, well, we're not going to be like that sort of side of the crowd. We're going to be like the blind man Bartimaeus. We need Jesus. We need him in our life, and we need his mercy. Sometimes we need to ask for it very often. We need that to be made whole, to be able to see again, to see with the eyes of faith.